There comes a moment in every life when truth reveals itself. Not with a roar, not with a blinding flash of light, but with a deep silence. A moment when you stop and realize everything you believed about yourself may not be true. Inside you carries a map drawn by old fears, scars from the past, and messages you've heard since childhood. Messages that told you you weren't enough, that you needed to be better, faster, smarter. That failed to teach you that failure isn't a destiny, it's only a temporary stage on the journey. And that success isn't something that happens by luck, it's something built, block by block, choice by choice. But before you can build, you must unbuild. You must unlearn. Unlearn the idea that you are limited, that you deserve less, that your potential has a ceiling. Unlearn the belief that mistakes are signs to stop rather than invitations to learn. You must erase from your internal system those voices that say you tried and it didn't work, so it's better to quit. You don't need to quit, you need to reset. You need to reinstall the winning mindset. Because that mindset was never lost. It was simply buried beneath the noise of the world, the pressure of other people's expectations, the weight of living in a system that rewards conformity and punishes courage. But it's still there inside you like a dormant program waiting to be activated. And this begins with a reset, not a dramatic one, not an instant, perfect change, just a step, a decision. A moment when you choose to stop feeding old patterns and begin investing in new habits, in different thoughts, in conscious actions, in choices that lead day by day toward the kind of life you always knew you could have but may have forgotten how to reach. The winning mindset doesn't come fully formed. It's cultivated, like a plant that needs water, sunlight, and time. And sometimes it also needs pruning, removing what no longer serves you. Outdated beliefs, habits that sabotage, relationships that drain. This mindset understands that the world isn't fair, but it also isn't impossible. It knows the rules of the game have changed, but the principles of triumph remain the same. It knows hard work alone isn't enough. Clarity of thought, purposeful action, and disciplined living are required. And that leads us to belief. Belief is not just wishing. Belief is feeling as real what does not yet exist. It is the unshakable confidence that your actions carry weight, that your vision holds power, that if you keep going, even without immediate results, the future will begin to move towards you. Belief is what sustains the writer on the blank page, the artist before the empty canvas, the entrepreneur in the first year of relentless effort. Belief is what makes you rise when all signs seem to tell you to stay on your knees. But belief alone is not enough. It needs clarity. Clarity is the map that defines where you want to go. It's the ability to distinguish between what matters and what distracts, between what moves you and what holds you back. Clarity comes from self-awareness, from the courage to ask yourself, what is my true goal? What am I willing to sacrifice for it? What do I need to change to achieve it? Without clarity, even the best plans get lost. The greatest intentions turn into aimless activity. Energy disperses, and life becomes a sequence of reactions, not actions. Clarity gives direction. Clarity gives shape to the dream. And with that clarity, vision emerges. Vision is the horizon guiding your steps. It is the vivid image of the future you are building. Vision doesn't wait for ideal circumstances, it creates them. It ignores passing chaos and keeps focus on the long term. It's what allows you to see beyond today, beyond now, beyond what you can touch with your hands. Vision is not naive optimism, it is informed faith. It is the certainty that if you keep walking, even without seeing the entire road, you will arrive where you need to be. And from that vision, purpose is born. Purpose is the why behind the what. It's the reason that gives depth to your journey. Purpose is not something you find, it's something you live. It arises when you decide to serve something greater than your own desires. When you understand that your existence plays a unique role in the fabric of the world. Purpose transforms work into mission, sacrifice into meaning, pain into growth, It's what keeps the teacher teaching despite lack of recognition, the artist creating despite lack of fame, the father present despite exhaustion at the end of the day. But purpose without action is only a daydream. Action is what moves mountains. It is the pulse of change. It is the moment thought becomes reality. Many plan, few execute, many dream, few take risks. Action is where fear meets courage, where doubt meets decision, where the dream meets the world. And it is in action that discipline reveals itself. Discipline is the fuel of greatness. It is the art of saying no to now to say yes to the future. Discipline does not shout. It does not ask permission. It does not wait for inspiration. It acts even when everything inside you resists. It is silent, yet devastating in impact. It builds empires, writes books, changes lives, heals wounds, breaks cycles. Discipline is the opposite of laziness, but also of chaos. It is not a hammer striking flesh. It is constant rhythm, continuous movement, firm presence. It is the ability to stay focused even when motivation fades, because motivation comes and goes. Discipline is the anchor that holds the ship in place until the wind begins to blow again. And it is this discipline that generates gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons learned from mistakes. Gratitude for the obstacles that shaped your strength. Gratitude for the people who stayed and those who left. Gratitude for your very existence, even in the whirlwind of life. Gratitude is not denying pain. It is recognizing that even suffering carries seeds of growth. With gratitude comes adaptability. Adaptability is the ability to accept the new without losing focus. Nothing remains the same. Circumstances evolve, plans fail, strategies change. Adaptability is emotional intelligence, knowing when to move forward, when to retreat, when to reinvent. It is what allows you to continue when the ground shifts beneath your feet. It is what keeps you in the game even when the rules change midway. And that is what builds resilience. Resilience is what keeps you standing after every fall. It is not ignoring pain, it is walking through it. It is not avoiding the fight, it is facing it. Resilience is learning to dance even when the floor trembles. It is continuing even when your heart aches. It is persisting even when the world seems to conspire against you. And at the center of it all is learning. Learning ensures that every experience, good or bad, has value. Nothing is wasted. Every mistake is a lesson. Every failure is a step. Every defeat is a teaching. Learning is the awareness that the journey never ends, that growth is a continuous process, that wisdom is not something you possess, it is something you seek every single day. And so all these pieces connect: mindset, belief, clarity, vision, purpose, discipline, action, gratitude, adaptability, resilience, learning. They are parts of a whole. Tools to master time instead of being mastered by it. Because in the end, you don't need more time. You need more discipline. And more than that, you need to unlearn failure. You need to understand that failure is not a destination, but a mandatory stop on the path of growth. That no victory is built without stumbles. That every setback is simply part of the process of becoming who you know you can be. You need to stop blaming the clock and start taking responsibility for what you do with the minutes you receive. You need to understand that every second is a choice, and each choice defines who you become. Failure is not inherent to you. It is only a habit you developed, and habits can be reprogrammed. So take a deep breath, look inward, and ask yourself, what can I do today with the time I have that brings me closer to the person I know I can become? And then do it, even if it's hard, even if you don't feel like it, even if you're not inspired. Just do it, because it is in disciplined action that destiny is written. It is in silent effort, in relentless persistence, in repeated routine that miracles happen. It's not the longest days that define an extraordinary life. It's the moments well used, the choices well made, the habits well cultivated. You have everything you need. You have the time, you have the strength, you have the mind, you have the capacity to change. All that's missing is the decision. Decide today is the day you begin to govern your time instead of begging for more. Decide you will no longer wait for the perfect moment. You will create the right one. Decide that discipline is not an obligation, but a declaration of love for your own future. And then, with that decision echoing in your heart, you begin one step, one day, one choice at a time. And with that, you don't just live. You advance, you transform, you win. The world is full of voices that say otherwise. They tell you that success comes to those who are lucky, connected, or born into the right circumstances. That failure defines who you are. That if things didn't work out by now, maybe they never will. But these voices are not your allies. They are echoes of a mindset you inherited, not one you chose. And the truth is this, the people who seem to have it all didn't get there because life was easier for them. They got there because they made different choices, because they refused to accept defeat as final, because they understood that every time they fell, it wasn't proof of weakness, it was proof they were trying. You don't fail because you're incapable. You fail because you've been trained to stop when it gets hard. You were taught that results should come fast, that effort without immediate reward is wasted, that if something feels uncomfortable, you should walk away. But the most meaningful achievements in life don't come from comfort. They come from sustained pressure, relentless repetition, and the willingness to stay in the fight long after others have quit. That's why you must unlearn failure. Not just the experience of it, but the meaning you give it. Because failure is not a verdict. It's feedback. Every setback carries a lesson. Every rejection contains direction. Every misstep points toward what needs to change. And until you see failure as part of the process, not the end of it, you'll keep treating it like an enemy instead of a teacher. Discipline begins here in the decision to treat failure as data, not identity. It starts with waking up before the sun, even when your body begs for more sleep. It continues with choosing the book over the screen, the gym over the couch, the difficult conversation over the silent escape. It grows in the moments no one sees when you choose consistency over convenience, growth over gratification, purpose over pleasure. Discipline doesn't shout, it doesn't demand applause, it simply shows up day after day, choice after choice, until one day you look back and realize you've changed. You used to hesitate, now you act. You used to doubt, now you believe. You used to wait, now you lead. And that transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened in small victories, the kind no one else saw, the kind only you felt. Because discipline isn't loud, it's deep. It's the difference between dreaming and doing, between wanting and working, between hoping and holding on. And once you begin to live by it, everything changes. You start to notice how your confidence grows, how your energy shifts, how opportunities appear where there were none before. You begin to attract people who match your level of commitment. You find yourself drawn to challenges instead of avoiding them. You become someone others trust, not because you promise much, but because you deliver consistently. That's the power of unlearning failure. That's the result of reinstalling the winning mindset. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's not about never falling. It's about always getting back up. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions. It's not about waiting for the right moment. It's about making the moment right. And the best part? You don't need permission to start. No one has to agree with you. No one has to cheer for you. You don't need validation to begin again. All you need is the courage to make a single choice, to show up, do the work, and trust that progress is happening even when you can't see it yet. Because the most powerful force in your life is not luck, talent, or circumstance. It's the daily decision to keep going. And every time you make that decision, you reinforce the version of yourself that doesn't give up, that doesn't settle, that refuses to be defined by past failures. That version of you is already inside you. You just need to let it lead. So ask yourself, what would I do today if I truly believed I could win? Would you still hit snooze? Would you still scroll endlessly? Would you still talk yourself out of taking action? Or would you finally do the thing you've been putting off, not because you feel like it, but because you know it matters? Would you finally write the first sentence? Would you finally send the email you've been rewriting in your head for weeks? Would you finally make the call you've been afraid to make? Would you finally take the step even if it's uncertain? Because winning doesn't come from waiting for certainty. It comes from acting in spite of uncertainty. Victory doesn't belong to those who are the most prepared. It belongs to those who decide to try anyway. And that's what separates those who transform their lives from those who merely wish to. One group waits for the perfect conditions. The other creates momentum through imperfect action. One group talks about goals. The other walks toward them. The other walks toward them. One group hopes. The other does. And yes, you have everything you need to join that second group. You don't need more time. You don't need more resources. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline, more belief, more clarity, more vision, more purpose, more resilience. Most of all, you need to stop identifying with failure, because you are not a person who fails. You are a person who learns, who adapts, who keeps moving forward. Failure may knock on your door, but you don't have to open it. Instead, you build something stronger behind your walls, something deeper, something unshakable. You build a mindset that cannot be broken, a mindset that turns setbacks into stepping stones, a mindset that sees obstacles as opportunities, a mindset that wins not because it avoids failure, but because it refuses to let failure define it. And that mindset is already within you. All you have to do is activate it. There's a moment that defines every great transformation. Not when the world changes, but when you do. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It comes in silence. In the stillness after years of struggle, after false starts and broken promises to yourself, after trying and failing again and again until one day something inside shifts. That shift isn't luck. It isn't magic. It isn't even inspiration. It's a decision, a quiet, unshakable decision to no longer accept who you were and to fully commit to who you can become.